Hello everyone. So basically, I'm doing this entire video to give you a perspective about how, as a Power BI developer, as well as myself working as a Fabric administrator in my current organization, um, to help you learn all these Fabric related services from basic till advanced with a hands-on knowledge, not something about just giving a demo. How we utilize Microsoft Fabric in a real-time environment. So I'm going to talk about that. So as you can see on the screen, I have currently logged into app.powerbi.com. It basically takes you to the same Fabric environment. So if you are very new to this, the first step which we'll be doing is we have to click on settings, and then we're going to click on admin portal. So I'm basically a tenant admin in my current organization. So if somebody has to use Fabric, the first step is to you have to enable it. So this is an option where you can enable it. If you disable this, then nobody will be able to utilize Microsoft Fabric. And you can restrict this for a specific group of people, or you can enable it for all the organization. I have enabled only for a specific group. And the second step is to understand the workload. So over here on the left hand side, what you can see is there are different options available. The first step is we're going to click on workloads, right? So if you scroll down, there are totally current around 8 workloads which are currently available. So I'll give you a high level overview about what each these workloads are all about. So first I'm going to click on this data engineering. So the entire Microsoft Fabric is built with a pillar concept of OneLake. Think about OneDrive or Google Drive, where you can actually put any files or any type of data inside that OneDrive or Google Drive, right? Same concept has been implemented with a name called Lakehouse, or some will also call it as OneLake. So what you can actually do is you can put relational data, you can put non-relational data, or any type of data. It works like a file explorer. Now you can do this with a service called Lakehouse. Once you have it, then you can use notebooks, you can use Spark, Python, anything to read the data and do any of your activities. This is what primarily data engineering service workload is all about. So once you are done on this, the next thing we have is data factory. So let me go ahead and disable this. So data factory is nothing but your ETL related workload, which means outside of Microsoft Fabric today in any traditional data analytics platform, if you want to transform your data, extract and transform it, you have to use some ETL tools. But in Fabric, you don't have to do it. We have something called Data Flow Gen 2. Those who are from Power BI experience, you can relate something like Power Query. And those who are very new, it is nothing but drag and drop interface where you can do all transformation with the built-in connectors. You don't have to write a single line of code. Then we have something called data pipeline. The difference is data pipeline can only read the data from one source and put your data back into your Fabric service. That's it. It cannot do a lot of complex transformation at this point of time. Similarly, you have something called mirror database and all. So we'll come back to that. And then you have something called data science. If you are more of a data scientist, want to do some AI ML related stuff, and end of the day you require some data. Think about you are building some forecasting models, you need data. In ideal traditional data analytics project, you have to request the historical data or the descriptive data to your team or database team or any team who is managing that data, right? But here everything can be residing inside your Fabric platform. You can distribute this data to your data scientist where they can use this AI ML models, notebooks to read the data. Same data set can also be read by Power BI developers, data analysts, data engineers. Everybody would be having one lake as your single source of truth. You don't have to maintain the copy of data in multiple different locations. Then you have something called data warehouse. This is where the majority of Power BI developers or any data analytics professionals will be using this a lot. Now you will have a question about what is the difference between the lakehouse versus warehouse. The primary difference is in lakehouse you can actually load any type of data, right? It can be structured, semi-structured, unstructured. It's something like a file system. Whereas data warehouse is nothing but a relational data warehousing platform, which means you can only upload a transactional data OLTP OLAP kind of a data set. Think about a lot of SQL tables you will be requiring for doing inner join or any other type of joins, or you would have some kind of relationships like one to one, one to many. So that kind of a data set, right? That's what typically we build in our Power BI report. So we'll have a lot of tables and we'll be doing joins or relationships and create some measures and reports out of it. And what do we need? Generally, we need an SQL environment where we can write SQL queries or store the data in the SQL database, right? That same thing can be actually done in Microsoft Fabric with the help of data warehouse. Now, when you are using data warehouse, the benefit is you can upload almost petabyte of data, so there is no restrictions when it comes to the performance aspect. So you can do this warehouse configuration in such a way that you can actually have SQL endpoint, or you can have a notebook which basically gives you PySpark or Python, and you can write a code on top of data warehouse. One of the major kind of technology, or the kind of future coming in data warehouses, there is a concept called mirroring, which means if you are using any database already like Snowflake or any other SQL instance in traditional Power BI environment, what will happen? You'll have to import that data inside your Power BI, then create a reports, or you would be using direct query. Now think about Snowflake. If you are using a direct query and everybody is running a SQL query against your Snowflake, you have to pay for it. There is a cost associated for your SQL query. Or if you are using import mode, so you think about you are importing 5 GB of data inside your Power BI, it's going to take a lot of time for your refresh. You cannot manage the such a big data set as a import mode. So there will be a little bit of performance issues with that. Whereas when you start leveraging Microsoft Fabric, there is no issues when it comes to the size of data, because it is using the concept of one lake. So everything is directly connected to the lake house, directly connected to the Fabric environment. So the architecture is different, so hence your Power BI would be much performance effective. So we'll come more to it with some real-time projects on that. And finally, I'll cover the last piece, which is about this Power BI as a another workload. A lot of Power BI developers will have a question about, I'm already using Power BI service, I'm already building Power BI reports. How different is this now when it comes to Microsoft Fabric? So the experience is going to be the same. There is no difference for Power BI developers, Power BI end users. Instead, there are additional features. Today, if you want to build any report, the way you use Excel connectors, SQL connectors, you can do the same. In addition, if you have anything inside your Fabric, you can directly connect your Power BI to your Fabric related objects, right? Which makes it much more easier. So you don't have to handle the traditional data analytics methodologies. Okay. And finally, we have something called real-time intelligence, which means in case if you are building any real-time analytics, you have something called event house, live streaming, or you also have something called activator, which means it can monitor some certain task and trigger an action and a notification right inside your Fabric platform. So when it comes to workload, as a beginner, I would suggest strongly to take a look at this workload, understand that what each workload is all about, right? So now in the previously we have showed you about how do we enable Fabric platform. Now what we'll do is we'll get started by configuring a lakehouse. So we'll see how to configure a lakehouse, and how to start using that. Okay, the first step to do this entire activity is to create a workspace. So you cannot use your existing workspace, so you have your workspace should be supporting Fabric items. So I'm going to create one workspace with some dummy name, and when you click on advanced, these are the different licenses which are available for your workspace. You cannot create a Fabric objects when you have pro workspace or your premium per user or premium capacity. You should ideally have Fabric capacity, or you can activate a trial version of Fabric. Okay, so I have selected trial version. I'm going to click on apply. Now you can see a diamond icon as well. So basically now my workspace is ready. So how do we configure a lake house? We will go ahead and click on new item. So when you click on new item, these are all the different activities for functionalities available, right? So lake house is available over here. You have even a search option, so the moment you type lake, you can see lake house is available. So I'm going to click on this, and I'll give this name as reporting. Okay, So we are giving just a name for our lake house, and we're going to click on create, and our lake house is ready. Now your Lakehouse, the default look and feel looks something like this. You have an option here called SQL Analytics Endpoint. So it is, since we have just now created, it's loading up, which means whatever you have loaded the data in Lakehouse, you can even write your SQL queries by selecting this option. And left hand side, what you see here is you have option here to upload files, you have option here to create tables. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upload one sample CSV file, and then we'll see how it is going to work. So I'm going to click on this three dots, upload, and upload files. Now it is asking me where is the path of your file. So I'm going to click browse, search for .csv. So I'm just taking one random CSV file, and then we'll just go ahead and click on upload. So now you can see that file has been successfully uploaded, and it is much faster because the file size is really small. So when you click on this file, you will see a sample data over here, right? So once the file is uploaded, what you can do is you can click on the three dots, say load to tables, and you can convert this file into a table format. But what is happening is it is indirectly mapping to the same CSV file. Okay, so it is not just importing the data, it is connected to that CSV file, but the data is available in a form of table. Okay, so I'm going to click on new table, and I'll call this as employee master. I'm just giving some name for my table, and the first headers are my column names. I'm going to click on load, and it will take some time depending upon the size of the data or how soon you have created this environment. So behind the scenes, it will start creating specific activities and trigger that CSV file out to a table creation process. So let that load. So looks like that has been created. Now when you come back, you can also see our entire Lakehouse is available in two different modes. It is also available in this format, which is SQL Analytics Endpoint, right? So you can also see now left side, the table has been successfully created. And when you expand, you can actually see all the columns which are available in my file are now available in a form of table. So you can see the preview of our data. So there is approximately around 900 records available, right? Now your data is available in your Lakehouse environment. Think of this data, you want to distribute it to data scientists, you can do that. You can distribute this to data engineers, you can do that. You can distribute this to Power BI, you can do that. Basically, this is your single source of truth. You don't have to copy this data, put it in your SQL instance, again give it to your Python developers or data scientists. So there are different versions usually gets maintained in a traditional data analytics project. But here with this Fabric platform, everything is stored inside OneLake, which means if I am making any changes to this data set, this immediately gets pushed to all those people, right? Now, let's say I want to create some SQL queries. I want to do some quick data analysis on this particular data set. All I have to do is I click on this option and say SQL Analytics Endpoint. So I'm going to click on that. And now you can see that entire Lakehouse has been converted into a SQL environment. And left hand side, you can see a schema. Our tables are available in this default DBO schema. So I'm going to expand this a little bit. Now you can see here employee master, right? So we're going to click on new SQL query, and let me say select star from employee master. See, when I'm typing the table name, it is automatically popping up over here. So we're going to click on run. Now you can see it is good to go. You can write any SQL commands, so more or less any SQL commands which you have written in any other places, it is still going to be the same. Let's say we want to create a report and find out ethnicity wise how many records do we have. So I'm just gonna say select ethnicity count, and then let's group it by ethnicity, and let's go ahead and click on run. You can see our data has been ready. So you can see this is how you can actually utilize Microsoft Fabric, where the data, you think about like a lot of data is there in the CSV file. You don't have to process it and store it in your SQL instance. So you can just put it in your one lake house, use your SQL queries, and you can start doing your data analysis. Now I'm going to click on reporting, and one of the good feature available here is I can have something called semantic model. This is where Power BI developers comes into the picture, right? You have a data, so you have to create a semantic model to create some reports, some measures out of it. So we're gonna click on new semantic model, and we'll give this name as I'm just giving a name as retail silver. And then I go to my tables and say that my semantic model should take up this table. Okay, I'm gonna click on confirm. Let's wait for the semantic model to get created. Sometimes it takes more than the expected time, but yes, looks like our semantic model has been. What we will be doing is manage default semantic model. Let's click on cancel. Let's go to Lakehouse. And when we go to Lakehouse, we're going to click on settings. Okay, so another thing is you can actually access this entire Lakehouse in a SQL environment. So you'll get an endpoint, SQL Analytics endpoint as well. And you can just copy paste this in your SSMS Studio, and you can even connect and start writing your SQL queries there as well, right? So this is one quick demo about how we can utilize Lakehouse, and I hope you got a glimpse about how to upload files, how to see the data out of it. The next part is about how do we create reports, right? So you can directly create a Power BI report by connecting to this data set. So for this, we will go to our workspace, and now you can see there are two semantic models available. The one I created is retail silver. So let's open that semantic model, and you can see all the column names are available over here. So we're going to click on open semantic model. So as of now we have only single table. In case if you have multiple tables, you can manage relationships, and you can set up multiple relationships as well. Now what I can do is I can just go back to my workspace, open that semantic model, and I can just say create a new report. I'm going to click on blank report, and then you can see all the columns has been available. Let's say I want to create a very simple chart about ethnicity wise, how many records do we have, right? So let's go ahead and put this in a form of donut. So we got around 4 ethnicities, and I want to count, so let me use this field for count, and you can see our Power BI report has been ready, right? And this brings us to end of our today's session. Like this, since it is today's is the first session, so I'll be giving a very high level information about it. When we meet next time, we'll go deep dive much inside about all these workloads and make you learn Fabric in a much more efficient way. I hope you like this video. Please do subscribe to my channel, comment if you have any queries. Have a nice day. Thank you.